experts with a special report on the young and jobless.
Unemployment is one of the biggest challenges facing the world today. 73 million young people around the globe can't find work. It's creating challenges in countries from America to India and South Africa. In the next half hour, we meet the interns fighting back in a battle for pay, the young Italians desperate for a future off the black market, and the Tunisian women who've been through a revolution but are still young and jobless. Most of us take work for granted or even resent it, but increasingly, working just isn't an opportunity that's available to young people. Young adults are 3 times more likely to be out of work than older people. In America and Europe, the odds are even worse than that. So to get ahead of the competition, many are taking on unpaid work experience or internships. But now companies are using unpaid interns to do the work of paid employees. And as Samira Hussein reports from New York, the interns are fighting back.
New York City, a mecca for young people around the world wanting to supercharge their career. The saying goes that if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Before Lucy Bickerton started studying to be a doctor, she wanted to produce films. But her first taste of the business, a 4-month internship, working long hours and getting paid nothing, left her questioning her career choice.
While I was doing my internship, it didn't really occur to me that I'm really doing the work of a production assistant, not this unpaid intern job, whatever that really means. So it was after I graduated and started getting paid work as a production assistant that I realized what I'd done before was really that of a production assistant, what is normally a full-time position with a TV show.
So she sued and won.
I think, yes, you should do work for free sometimes, but more in like a real student situation. And a lot of internships these days, they're not. They're just entry-level positions that are unpaid.
Erica Van Ravensway should know. She won a legal action against her employer, a New York fashion designer, after months of unpaid work.
Exacerbating the trend of unpaid internships is the sheer number of young and jobless. The unemployment rate for those between the ages of 20 and 24 is about 12.5%, 5% higher than the rate for adults, meaning there is a steady stream of young people that are willing to trade pay for work experience.
Interns have become a kind of disposable, cheap labor workforce. Many companies simply use them to kind of, fill in at particularly busy times or on an extra project. And I think there's a kind of, there's been a sort of a disingenuous use of interns that has cropped up, and companies and certain industries in particular are realizing they can take advantage of young people.
As a result of the litigious interns, some companies are abandoning their unpaid programs altogether. But not here. These interns at The Nation magazine are the first to earn a minimum wage. Instead of legal action, their predecessors published this letter to their own editor, successfully convincing their boss to pay them more than just a stipend.
We should be addressing the problem of young people, pathways to opportunity, and offering internships which are educational and opportunity driven, but have at their core a fairness of a certain set of payments, commensurate with the work.
Competition for jobs is fierce, particularly for the young. Those entering the workplace want to find a job, just one that actually pays.
In Europe, Spain, Italy, Greece and Ireland have some of the highest rates of youth unemployment ever. Many young people are having to find work on the black market, cash in hand, no questions asked, but no rights or security either. Hugh Pym has been in Italy to meet some of the young people trying to find legitimate work and a better future.
It may just look like pizza dough, but for these young Italians, they hope it's their passport into the world of work. Officially, youth unemployment in Italy is running at 40%, but that statistic includes many like Stella, who's working on the black market at a call centre. She's training to make pizza so she can find a legitimate job and hopefully get a mortgage and start a family.
How can I grow up a child if I don't have a good job? We don't have any future, probably, in this moment. From now to the next 10 years, it's impossible here to have something good for you. I'm 28, and what I'm gonna do for the next 10 years?
The Italian economy is in a difficult place. Lack of growth means a lack of real job creation, and the unofficial world of work remains a problem. On some estimates, the Italian black economy is worth the equivalent of more than a fifth of the country's official annual national output. It's long been a problem for the authorities. The police say they're cracking down on it.
Buongiorno.
This police chief told me in raids on businesses they'd discovered 30,000 illegal workers last year.
It's very important. It harms many interests. It hurts the state and the national budget because it means taxes aren't paid, and our purpose is also to protect honest businesses. Those that comply with the law suffer unfair competition from other companies, which are able to sell their goods and services at lower prices.
As job seekers search for vacancies at this unemployment centre, they're often up against a lack of openings because employers find it too costly to hire people. Italian regulation is seen as an obstacle. That's another reason younger people are pushed towards illegal jobs. Staff here say some of the younger generation have moved into the black economy and stayed there.
Before, it was a bridge between education and a permanent job, which gave you a chance to start a family and make a future for yourself. Unfortunately now, more and more young people find it's the only option open to them.
For Stella, that black economy option is a necessity. She and other trainees hope their new skills will be a pathway to work, even if it's a long way from Italy, where the recipe for legitimate jobs still doesn't seem to be working.
With uncertain prospects at home, Europe's young are increasingly going abroad to find a better future. Australia is one place they head to, but is their welcome there now cooling off? Phil Mercer in Sydney reports.
The surf at Bondi Beach in Sydney after work makes Ireland's financial problems seem a world away. Irish migration to Australia is at levels not seen since the 1980s. The young are abandoning their homeland in their thousands. But building a new life isn't always easy.
A lot harder than people make out. Like, come over to Australia, there's loads of jobs, so easy. It's not like that at all. No matter what you're working in, it's for lads a lot easier, but for girls it's hard. Like, you need to look, but there is jobs there if you look.
Because I was working like 3 jobs at the time, it was quite hard compared to when I come here and I work one job and get like double the money for what I was getting at home. So quality of life here, way better. But I miss home as well.
But trade unions worry that foreign workers are not only taking jobs away from young Australians, but they could be exploited by unscrupulous employers seeking cheap imported labour.
We look at between 15 to 19-year-olds, we have 14.5% unemployment. Still well below many other places in the world, but still significant enough to say that we aren't absorbing and giving skill opportunities to many young Australians. That means that labour's been brought in as an alternative which is being more exploited, less rights, and seen as a cheap form of labour.
Parts of the economy rely on migrants, but a lack of training means many young Australians can't compete. And academics fear that the flood of foreign workers under the age of 25 on temporary visas could make matters worse.
It's important to think about where future immigrants are going and whether that competition could emerge. I don't see it really coming out currently, but I see it potentially being a problem in the future. For instance, somewhere like the Northern Territory that has very high rates of Indigenous youth unemployment, but which is being signalled as an area for potential regional migration agreements in the future.
People are Australia's greatest asset. An intrepid, enterprising and diverse population has been boosted over the years by successive waves of immigration. The Irish have played a key part in Australia's rich Anglo-Celtic heritage, and more young people from Ireland are seeing cities like Sydney as an escape from economic troubles back home.
The Irish government says it's confident that many young migrants will go home when the scars of the financial crisis eventually heal. But as the exodus continues, Ireland's loss is Australia's gain.
When it comes to the young and jobless, South Africa is one of the hardest hit nations on the planet. But the situation is spawning solutions in some surprising places. Lorato Mbele in Johannesburg has been to meet some of those trying to find new ways to help.
Okay, I have to ask you this. Jeez, girl, it's over. Avashni, congratulations, and go soap your mouth, you naughty girl. Well done. It's fine.
Fresh, fearless and frank, Anela Mdoda says it like it is.
94.7 Highveld Stereo.
Each day on her radio show, she's a voice for South Africa's urban youth. A variety of issues are up for debate, among the most pressing, unemployment.
What I know about the youth and the economy is that the economy doesn't really register to them until it's time to get a job. The only time it dawns on them that I will not have an income and a steady income is when they're looking for an income. Because of where we come from, you know, historically and economically, it's also like you waiting your turn for your bit of history to be fixed, you know. So you watch it as youth, you're like, you know what, it's fine, the politicians are sorted, you know, their friends are sorted, it's gonna come around to me. And no one is saying, whoa, it's not gonna come around to you. If you don't do anything for yourself, you're not going to get anything.
One young person trying to make it for himself is 29-year-old Rudzani Richard. He's been coming to this spot in front of a hardware store to try to find work every day for the past 3 years.
I'm Rudzani. I'm 29 years. So I'm looking for a job here.
And what do you do?
I'm doing plumbing job. So every day I'm coming here, Monday to Sunday. I can't get the job, or sometimes I get the job. These jobs get 1 day a week or 2 days a week. So I'm suffering.
You've just heard there from 29-year-old Rudzana. He's a plumber, one of many who are unemployed. Official statistics say a quarter of South Africa's population is unemployed, and 70% of those are people under the age of 35.
I don't have nothing.
Rudzani has no formal education, and that makes his job search difficult. But it's tough for university students as well, like engineering apprentice Otlutleng Lentotwane.
I finished my theoretical courses in 2011, and you know, it's been difficult to break into the market, to break into the industry, because there's such a big gap between varsity and industry.
In order to graduate from his course, he needed practical work in industry, but without work experience, few can find the entry-level engineering jobs they need. To break that catch-22, he's training at Resolution Circle. Using a corporate network, they provide young engineers with work experience, a prerequisite for graduation.
2008 happened, an economic downturn, and now suddenly we had up to 50% of our students that couldn't get a job. So they couldn't get a diploma, and now they're unemployed again. And to give you an idea, these were running into the thousands now. Now remember, we're talking engineering students. They should be starting new products, creating jobs, really helping the economy. And that's where Resolution came in. It says, look, let's employ these guys and give them that year experience by employing them.
Creating jobs is the key issue for South Africa. It's also important to innovate and add value for the economy at large, but the general feeling is that the government shouldn't be the root of all solutions.
Possibly the government must also just stop like lying and saying things are going to be fine. Just be like, hey guys, look, we hate to break it to you, but up to here and no further. From here on, do it for yourself. And maybe then people are going to wake up and think, you know what, let me do this for myself.
Getting the right people in the right jobs is crucial for any country to grow, but it's particularly true of developing nations like India. There, many graduates are struggling to find work, and at the same time, many companies are struggling to fill the positions they have open. Yogita Lamai explains.
Jaideep Vaghela runs a factory which makes metal foil. It's a tough task. The plant needs at least 250 skilled personnel working round the clock over 3 shifts to meet customer demand. But that skilled labour is in short supply. and Baghela is forced to employ untrained youngsters from neighbouring villages.
From the time that we hire someone, we take at least 3 years to train them fully, so they can independently run a machine. This significantly increases costs for us. Because we need a lot of precision in our work, we often have to suffer wastage as we are forced to keep the factory running with unskilled staff. We don't mind paying more for trained workers, but where do we find them?
It's a problem that most industries here in India are struggling with, despite the fact that the country has one of the youngest populations in the world. That's because just about a tenth of those looking to join the workforce every year receive any skills training.
And those who do are in much demand. Ganesh Gaikar is attending a mechanical skills course. He joined the institute because he found that past students here had no trouble finding a job.
This training has really helped me. I still have few months to go to complete the course, but I already have a couple of offers from different companies. I think my career can really take off.
That's in sharp contrast with students getting college degrees in India. The country's economy has slowed sharply in the past 2 years, and fewer jobs for those finishing university are now available. Even the opportunities which are on offer less than what most graduates expect.
The job marketing in India, I think we study so much, we are getting educated so much, so we need to get that level of job also. So I don't think that is going, and that is happening in India, so it should get a bit better.
Depends on the different courses now. The better the course, the more the opportunity you have. Because it's become competitive now. It's not that easy to get a job or anything.
I don't think there will be enough job options for us in market, because market standards are going high and sometimes going in different directions.
The government has woken up to this mismatch between skills and jobs. It plans to give vocational training to 500 million people by 2022. That's a big target. But it's only when India can reach out to many more like Ganesh that it can turn its large population into a strength rather than a weakness.
Youth unemployment has been one of the factors driving unrest and toppling governments across the Arab world. The Tunisian revolution sparked what's become known as the Arab Spring, but the problem of youth unemployment hasn't been fixed. And in particular, women are increasingly at the back of the queue when it comes to landing a job, as Simon Atkinson now reports from Tunis.
It's 10:30 in the morning and the air is already thick with cigarette smoke and chatter. A few of the cafe's customers are students from local colleges, but most have no class or job to go to. Asma's been a regular here since she lost her job with a big advertising company 6 months ago and is still finding it hard to adjust.
The first thing I do when I open my eyes in the morning is to check my emails, hoping to find an opportunity or a response to a job I've applied for. I come to the cafe almost every day, chat to people, look online for work. Sometimes I'll have a few days when I'm depressed and I'll just spend the day sleeping, trying to get a bit more positive.
But the odds are against her. While 7 out of 10 men are classed as participating in the Tunisian workforce, for women that's less than 3 in 10. And according to one of the country's leading women's rights activists, the gender imbalance is based on traditional ideas of women as wives and mothers.
There's a mentality that unemployed men must have priority in getting the jobs, while the women need to stay at home to make way for these men to have work. Even if a woman is better qualified, it would be given to a man instead, unless it's farming or textile, jobs men won't do. But they're not getting the jobs that matter, in education, in management. This is what we're talking about.
The low levels of female workforce participation here aren't down to a lack of education. Young women make up around 60% of students in the country's universities, and their grades are usually better too. And as the country's economic growth slows, some argue the disparity between achievement and employment is not just holding back women, but Tunisia as a whole.
We have a human capital which is no use, which is not used. This is garbage. this is not profitable. You have allocated resources, and these resources are not used.
We hate them! On veut plus de out, out, out!
When Tunisians came out on the streets almost 3 years ago and overthrew their president, women stood alongside men demanding change. But on those streets now, that optimism's faded. And on the big issue of jobs, for young Tunisians, and women in particular, there's little sign of a breakthrough.
As more young people are finding it hard to find work, they're having to live at home with their parents. In countries like Spain, that's traditional. So what are the secrets of a harmonious home life when you're grown up and living at the hotel of mum and dad? Tom Burridge in Madrid has been finding out.
Born in 1984, Alberto Barragan is part of a generation of young Spaniards who are living the effects of the economic crisis. Aged 26, he moved like thousands of others to find work in London.
Abre.
Aged 29, he's back.
Hola. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Cómo estás?
Hola, cariño.
Hola, mamá.
He's living once again with his parents on the edge of Madrid.
I think it's the hardest journey in Spain right now for the young people. I think it's close to impossible. Get a proper job, get and follow your dreams, because there is no opportunities here right now.
Yo te digo que hoy por hoy la situación que hay en España se está sobreviviendo mucho gracias a la familia, a los abuelos, a los padres. Aquí hay gente que no puede pagar la hipoteca y se les está ayudando a los abuelos con su pensión.
With no full-time job, Alberto is studying and works part-time for his friend Jesus. Jesus' business helps young Spaniards relocate to the UK. But for Alberto, living back at home has clear advantages.
You don't have to be worried about pay taxes or pay electricity, any bills. You are living basically for free. My parents know me very well, so they know what I like and what I dislike, and this is why it's so easy to live with them. Basically, I don't have to wash my clothes, I don't have to make my bed, I don't have to buy anything for me because my mom does all these things for me.
The reality is that living with your parents when you're nearly 30 is nothing new in Spain or strange. But with such high levels of youth unemployment, more young people are moving back home. So what advice can Alberto and his parents offer?
Cuando tú estás viviendo con una persona para toda la vida, tienes que aceptarla con sus defectos y con sus virtudes, exactamente igual que un hijo.
The main thing is respect your parents.
También hay unas normas. Cuando formas una familia, pues tú intentas esas normas que estén siempre en una casa.
I have to be patient with them a lot of times because they never think that I got really 29 years old. I think they still thinking I got 18, 19. They are all day worried about myself, where you going, what you gonna do, with who you going.
Antiguamente, como te decía Mari Carmen, eran los padres los que vivían con los hijos. Hoy son los hijos los que viven con los padres. O sea, se está repitiendo la historia, pero al revés.
So, living at home with your parents doesn't have to be something negative. But it is just a reality for more young people and families in today's Spain.
Well, we've seen just how bad the situation is in many countries. Youth unemployment is rising towards the top of the political agenda. No government wants to be the next to fall because its young people see no hope. Over the next few months, the European Union will be spending billions trying to get young people into work. Many wonder how big the impact will actually be, but it is a measure of just how seriously the world is taking this epidemic of youth unemployment. You can find out more about the issue in a special report online. Many thanks for watching.
Hello there. If you haven't heard, we do have